happen here in the first quarter. Suffocating at times.
Alex Caruso on the floor for Oklahoma City. Another one of the big pieces.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Bring the Thunder podcast. Today, we got some things for you guys, but first, we have me, Gabe, we got Joe, we got Jack, but we have Sapphire today, who is a part of the podcast, but hasn't been on an episode yet. So this is kind of his first episode here. So Sapphire, go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll ask you for your top 5 Thunder players.
Awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. So most people know me as Thunder Talk. You've either seen me on TikTok or across other social medias. I've been kind of in this game for several years, more as a hobby, just as a kind of consider myself as a super fan. And I know top 5 players. I came up with this list real quick right before the episode. I came up with Russell Westbrook, obviously at the top, in any specific order. I got PG-13, really enjoyed watching him while he was here. Steven Adams, just classic, like, come on, great vibes. Serge Ibaka was one of my favorite players just watching growing up. He was just really instrumental on our team, and then he had a lot of injuries throughout his career. And the other player that I want to mention here is Anthony Morrow, our sniper back in the day. So had to mention a Thunder legend.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great list right there. I think we can all agree. That's good stuff there.
Everybody seems to love Anthony Morrow. Like, I think that's like our third person in the top 5. Even in our interview with Jake the other day, he had Morrow.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that's sweet. Okay, well, it's time to just kind of talk about the elephant in the room. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with our recap of the Thunder Warriors loss last night, and after that, we'll get into some of the J-Dub stuff. But let's start with the big bad. Is there anybody who wants to go first? Because I have stuff I can mention, but if someone's like really eager, go ahead.
I think the good place to start would be with Shai's 50 bomb. Start positive.
Yeah. No, I agree. Let's get the positives out of the way. That dude is crazy, man. We know it, but like it's just crazy to me. Like, I try to ignore it, I'm a Thunder fan, but it's just crazy to me how little ball knowledge people have when they just call him a free throw merchant. It's like, watch the game, dude. He is getting fouled every time. He leads the league in drives. He has for 4 years. That's because when you're gonna get free throws when you drive. Like, it's simple basketball. It blows my mind when people don't get that.
I actually have a quick stat just for you, Gabe. I'm not gonna keep going after.
No, yeah, let's hear it.
All right, so this is from Carson Breber on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to add him. There are 18 seasons in NBA history in which a guard scored 32 plus points per game.
Mm-hmm.
SGA ranks 14th among those seasons in free throw attempts and second in effective field goal rating. So 14th out of 18 seasons, it's a joke if the people if they want to keep running this narrative, because it needs to stop.
I mean, absolutely. That's a wonderful stat that you just brought up there. I mean, like I said, it's to the point where I'm just like fully ignoring it at this rate, but like it just blows my mind how many, and not just how many like people comment it, but how many pages drive the narrative. I mean, you have these big pages, Bleacher Report, Basketball Reference, and they're posting and they're saying like, Shai drops 52 tonight with 18 free throws. It's like, you know exactly what you're doing by adding that.
I think that was Bleacher Report last night, if I'm not mistaken. It literally in the graphic, 52 points, 18 free throws. Why is that a thing? Why is that there?
Yes, and they do it for clicks. Yep.
Yeah, that reflects where the NBA media is today. Just clicks and views. They don't care about the basketball. It annoys me as well with the Jalen Williams. Like today with the All-Star announcement, they misspelled Jalen Williams, and
how do you misspell an all-star's name? Like, I get it when he first came into the league, but this is 3 years now. Like, are we not paying attention? Are we just like in the media? It's a joke. I don't understand.
It's literally disrespectful. I mean, you learn that spelling someone's name right and like pronouncing names correctly, that's like the basis for respect. That's like the simplest level of respect. And they just keep, I mean, it's like they got a bunch of high schoolers running their Instagram account who just, I mean, it's really, it's sad, honestly. It's just like you said, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Well, it is a bunch of interns over there at ESPN running a lot of that. So,
That's
Yeah, well,
yeah.
ESPN's actually the source that wrote down his name wrong in their update earlier, only a few hours ago. I mean, how do you mess that up? The
Yeah.
dude's an all-star. He's not
Yeah.
even like, come on.
it's just flat out like simple, just disrespect. I mean, it
Just
really
shows
is.
where ESPN's at right now. I'll tell you that much.
It does. Touching back on the whole Shea thing real quick, you take away his 18 free throws, and he still scored more than what he's averaging. So he scored 34 points without free throws. So I don't. That's just ridiculous. But I mean, I don't want to say what we already know, but just going over it quick, the dude he just gets where he needs to be. He's so unguardable. I mean, Steve Kerr made a comment after the game where he said, I didn't know what to do with Shea. He said he made a joke. He said, I asked Mark to keep him on the bench longer. That's one of the most like rewarded, most sought out coaches in like the last century saying, I don't know what to do with this guy. I mean, how many players has Steve Kerr said that about?
Yeah, I mean,
LeBron? I mean,
he's absolutely
like,
one of the top two, if not one best offensive players in the game, if not the best player in the game. But I do want to transition just a little bit. 52 points last night. Awesome. OKC had 109 points last night. So that's 57 other points from the other guys. What did Dub finish with? Dub finished with 26. So after that, where are we going to find scoring? Because, 52 is awesome, but I know Chet's out and he provides points, but we need to find scoring quick because that type of offense is not going to hold up in the playoffs. It's not going to hold up against other championship teams. Defense was fine. I'd like to say that, I mean, 116 is not great, not to our standard. We did let Wiggins go crazy again, but we need to find offense fast because that's not going to hold up.
yeah, yeah. Before I kind of go on any tangent here, I just want to say like right away, there were issues. We're going to cover those. First, I want to give like actual props to the Warriors. They outplayed us in the end. They flat out in that last 5 minutes, they were hitting shots that you have to hit to beat the best team in the league. I mean, Podziemski had that ridiculous shot that as soon as it left his hands, I was like, that's going in. I just knew it was going in. And Wiggins, I mean, we talked about in the episode before that he always balls out against OKC. I don't get it. Like, I don't know what we did to him to make this so personal, but he is like, he's like a top 5 Thunder killer. Like, I don't understand. The dude is just
27 points, 5 threes, I believe, last night.
Yeah. And another thing is, I'd like to formally apologize. Last episode, I might have said that Stephen Curry's getting a bit older, and we don't have to worry as much. That's on me, man. That's on me.
Well, listen, second half Steph Curry was the problem, but he only
true. First half we had
points,
we had him good, which that kind of gets me to one of my first things here that I want to complain about. Joe, I know you talked about this a little bit last night in the DM, but Case and Wallace, bro. Why are we going underneath screens against the greatest shooter in the history of basketball? There was like 6 times in the fourth quarter where he went underneath of a screen, and Curry hit like 3 40-footer. I mean, and it's like we're looking at Stephen Curry, we're like, it's all right, he's not gonna hit it.
Yeah.
No, he's gonna hit it, dude. And even if he doesn't, like, there was a point where there was a foul called, and Curry got the ball, and you could hear Shea yell, "Don't let him shoot," because Curry's the kind of guy who, even if he misses, that's a good shot for him because he's thinking about, okay, what do I need to change the next time? So even letting him get a shot off that's that deep is going to come back to bite us. And Kaysen was just under the screen every single time. I mean, I liked what we were doing at the end there where it was almost better having Hart come up off the screen and guard Curry. I almost preferred that because I was like, at least there's a guy in front of him because Kaysen was going there was that one really bad one where he went under and he just watched. And once he realized Curry was shooting, it was too late.
The thing with Curry is, as Shea was saying, don't let him shoot. It's not like, because once he makes one, it could be over really fast. The game could be over in 2 minutes if Curry makes one shot. You spoke about offense. I want to speak. I know you spoke about defense. I want to speak about offense because that's where I think we really struggled last night. He had 2 points. He's 0 for 3 from three. He's airballing multiple shots. This can't go on longer. He needs to be on the bench. I don't care who it is. And actually, I want Isaiah Joe in the starting lineup because Wiggins, the last few games, it looks like he hates us. He doesn't want to do anything to help us. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it shouldn't take much more to get him out of the starting role because if Mark's watching the same thing we're watching, he needs to be off the court right now.
Yeah, Joe had a great game last night. He was
17
great.
points. I think another 5 threes. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I forget his numbers for January, but I know he's having a great stretch after having a pretty big slump. I wanted to interject and mention a couple more Shea stats on his 52 points,
Yeah, go ahead.
or just in general, some stats. Jimmy High Roller released a video today that was, I guess, Shea is like the most unethical hooper. It was kind of a video where everyone to click in, and then he pretty much disproved that as a fact. And one of the things that he mentioned was in the modern history of the NBA, Shea's 18th in overall scoring, but he's 142nd in overall free throw rankings, which is ridiculous. Like to say he's a free throw merchant. And then the other big stat within his video was the average number of free throws for other point per game seasons is 10 free throws per game. Shea's only averaging 8.3 this season thus far. Like when you really do the comparisons, ESPN, Bleacher Report, the higher level analysts, they usually don't look at more advanced data than kind of, what is popular to speak about. So that's kind of where we're at in the NBA. And that's why we have podcasts like this and other smaller creators to really, shine a light on what's going on.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I mean, at the end of the day, ESPN's number one job is to get you to click on their video, and they will do whatever it takes. They will say whatever it is to get that to happen. And I mean, it's like you just said, that's the point of pages like this is like to try to at least prove that like what a boneheaded take. I mean, what a terrible opinion that people are just and you see these. I saw one post. This dude's like, even with like 98 free throws, they still couldn't have won. And it's like, you're just talking out. Like, what are you even saying? Like, these guys just sound so stupid. Like, it's so dumb.
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Wiggins having 27 and Looney having 18 didn't affect the game at all. Just the
Yeah,
free
no,
throws,
not at
right?
all.
Just the free throws.
Yeah, for sure. Joe, you kind of mentioned offense, and one thing I wanted to get into in that fourth quarter, I mean, for a notoriously struggling 3-point shooting team, why were we forcing so many threes? I mean, Shea had a great game, but 2 for 6 from three. Dort 0 for 4 from three. J-Dub 2 for 6. Wallace 0 for 3. J. Will 0 for 4. Wiggins 0 for 4. What are we doing? I mean,
And
I
we were
get
we were
shoot out of a
talking
slump,
we were
but
talking during the game last night too, and I forgot one of us mentioned why are we shooting so many threes? We're having our way in the paint, like we were having
yes,
our way mid range in the paint.
yes,
So
exactly.
I mean, I think that
Like,
comes down to coaching again. I'm not gonna lie.
no, I agree for sure. Yeah, no, it does. But like you just said, like Shea and Jada were scoring relatively effortlessly in the paint. Jada was in his bag when he was shooting those middies. I mean, per usual, but he was playing phenomenal last night with those middies. And then we just start forcing up the threes all of a sudden because we're down by more than two. You don't have to match a three with a three. I mean, it's like we were playing under this assumption that we're down by six. Okay, we need two threes. Okay, or you need three twos and we're better at getting the two. Like, why are we chucking up these threes instead of just trying to play our game? I mean, it took us out of our identity. It forced us into this team that we're not. We're not a 3-point shooting team. We're a rough, hustling, inside scoring, ball movement, chemistry team. We were getting shots off before the shot clock hit 18 seconds because we're shooting a three too quick.
The Thunder were 9 for 39 from deep last night. 9 for 39.
I think so. I wanted to point out another stat by Joel Lorenzo, who's a Thunder reporter. He mentioned everyone aside from SGA, Isaiah Joe, and Jalen Williams shot 6 for 33 from the field and 0 for 13 yesterday. Like
Oh,
that says it all.
that's a disgusting stat. I mean,
And outside of those three, they contributed for 14 points.
I mean,
And
I mean, that's a really good transition right there, Jack, because I have in my notes written down here two names: Cam Johnson or Cam Thomas.
yeah.
Either one,
Ooh.
we need. If we get Cam Thomas as a six man off the bench, I don't think you'll make that reaction. I don't. That guy will provide scoring for us. He'll provide shooting for us. Either one, because we don't really need another defender. We don't necessarily need one. We just need pure scorers. I'd take Cam Thomas off the bench right away. I mean, that dude is a pure scorer, and that's what we're lacking. Again, Caruso's down again, injured again, but he's not a scorer. Kaysen can't score for the life of him right now. Wiggins isn't providing anything for us right now. They need a six-man who could come off and just put up 15 to 20 every night to get the load off of Shai and Dub, because like you guys were saying, we can't score the ball outside of our top guys. I mean, Hardenstein, the 7-footer, went 2 for 10. How does a 7-foot guy go 2 for 10 at the rim?
yeah, no, I mean, I don't. Here's my thought on that. I am so hesitant in the world of trades because we are such a good team and we're so much better than what that was. So, like, on one hand, I absolutely agree with you. We need to get that help. It's bad. We need that help. However, here's what I will say. I'm pretty sure we're 3-4 in our last 7, or 3-3 in our last 6, something like that. That's obviously that's desperate. I mean, we need help in that situation. However, prior to that, I mean, it part of me wants to say that this is a slump. You get through slumps. You don't just pull the trigger on a trade because things went bad for a little bit. We don't even have Chet. Chet was looking like he could have been that scorer this season that can help. So part of me is like, let's just take a step back. Let's not pull the trigger on a trade. But the other issue there is, even if we don't pull the trigger on a trade and we just kind of ride it out and those guys get out of a slump, none of them are knockdown shooters. We don't have consistent 3-point shooting offense even when we're not in a slump. Now Chet brings that, sure,
Uh,
but we don't have a guard. We don't have a forward. We just have this center who can stretch and is maybe getting a few threes up a game, but someone like Cam Johnson is becoming significantly more enticing.
Can I mention a couple names that have been floated by other reporters and other reports out there? So obviously we've heard CP3 is another name, shot creator, can get buckets and play make. Of course, he's a lot older now. He'd definitely be kind of lower on the totem pole, but considering how cheap we could probably ice the Spurs to get him, I think he'd be a great option. And then the other option that I've seen floated around, not my personal favorite, but I want to throw it out here, Colin Sexton. What do you guys think about him?
I personally think that, those are two great players. What they need, in my opinion, is a pure scorer. I don't think they need Chris Paul back. I love Chris Paul for what he did for us, but I don't think they need Colin Sexton, because Colin Sexton is more of a gritty, could give you some type of scoring, but he's more of a gritty defensive guy. I think Cam Johnson, Cam Thomas, guys like that, because I think last night kind of showed that Shai had 52, but if we're not having any other scoring, the playoffs, we're not going to survive 2 rounds, because you need to score the ball. You need to have guys who you could give the ball to in clutch time, and they're going to go get a bucket for you. Throw it back to old school OKC. I'm talking KD, Russ, Harden. You know how they finished those games? With the ball in James Harden's hand in the playoffs. It was in James Harden's hand every time. So it just gave Russ and KD another option. I think Shai and Dub need another option guard-wise or forward-wise. And I think Cam Thomas would be a perfect fit, because he's lights out when he plays.
Yeah. I mean,
I found 3 mock trades on fanspo.com. So why don't you guys tell me, would you accept or decline this trade? These are for between OKC and the Nets. So first, we got Cam Thomas for Ousmane Dieng and a 2025 first-round pick, Houston or Clippers swap rights.
Yeah, I'm taking that without a doubt.
Yeah, we're doing that really quick.
And you're right, because Brooklyn only really wants picks anyway right now. They are where we were a few years ago. So
I would say though
Go
the
get
only
him.
issue with that situation, every team in the league knows how many picks we have. There is no way they don't try to get more than that. I would be shocked
I
if they
give
only asked
I
for one. I'd give a second future first rounder. I really
I'd give a
would.
few.
Yeah.
Championship windows close very fast, and this
Yeah.
is ours right
Absolutely.
now. We're not going to have
Absolutely.
this team forever, so go get
Yeah.
somebody this season and win,
I
right?
agree for
Okay.
sure.
You have two more?
Here's the next
Yeah.
one. Yeah. Topic, 2025 Miami pick, 2025 Philadelphia pick, 2027 Clippers swap for Cam Thomas.
Yes. Yes. You know why?
That's
Because
harder.
what else are you doing with those picks? We have 30
The
No.
Heat
more.
pick might not convert.
We have 30 more picks.
No, the Heat pick is converting uh 8, it's either 6 through 8 or 8 through 10, something like that. Between those, like it's definitely converting this year. It's been reported on by, I believe, I can't recall who I need to cite for this, but I saw it on Twitter. So
Mhm.
I know one of the reporters mentioned that that traded
I
or
thought it was
that
top
pick
14 protected.
no, I don't believe so.
I may be wrong. I may be wrong. Yeah.
Well,
I don't
anyway,
think that's the protections. I think the
like
protections are like 1 through 7, and then if they land anywhere higher than that, we get it. That's not the exact quote, but I can go ahead
Right.
and look at it.
so Gabe and Sapir, you both said no. I was quick to say yes right away because I think this is our window right now, and I think Cam Thomas is perfect fit. We have 30 other picks. Why are you guys hesitating? What does the
So
12th pick in the NBA draft really mean a lot?
J Dub was the 12th pick in the NBA draft. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
but
that's years from now.
it's less the pick for
Usman
me and
Jang
more
was the 11th pick.
it's that is true.
There you go. Like
But it's less the pick for me and more the fact that I don't even like Topic and we haven't seen him play yet. Like that the actual ceiling that he could have is something that I don't want to just throw away because we wanted to pull the trigger really quickly.
I
Now,
think
if you
that
switch him out for somebody like Usman and throw in a pick there, please. I'm begging them to take the trade.
I
But I
personally
just don't like
think
trading Topic.
like I could see why you don't want to trade Topic. We haven't seen, but when are we going to see? He's coming off the ACL. He's expected next year, but that's his rookie season. Then he's got a sophomore season. We know what Cam Thomas could do for us. Go get him. Go get him. We don't
I
need
think it's
another
tough.
backup point guard who can control the game. No, we need a scorer. That's what we need.
I definitely I just think it's a tougher trade than the last one. I'm not saying I'd for sure say no, but it's certainly easier to ship Usman and one pick for Cam Johnson. I mean,
Sure.
this one's a bit harder for me. It just is. But you absolutely make sense, Joe. I get it. I mean, Cam Thomas would be a great addition for sure. That's exactly what we need. It's a little harder when it's multiple picks and a young guy who at one point was being talked about a top 3 pick in this year's draft. I mean,
I just
Yeah,
want to say one more thing before we move on to the third trade. But you mentioned Topic as a young guy. Cam Thomas isn't old at all.
no, I'm not saying he is, not at all.
Like,
I like Cam. I like Cam
I
Thomas.
understand where you're coming
Yeah.
from. I just think come on, you got to want to win right now because it doesn't last long. It doesn't last long.
I agree. It normally doesn't last long, but I think this team has a real chance at having what could be basically a dynasty for the next decade. I mean, I think we genuinely have that chance. And a big thing that gives us that chance is these young players who really can show that they're going to be good for a long time. And if Topic ends up to pan out to this point guard who's another Euro gem that we picked off, I don't want to lose that potential in a player because we really wanted to win in this first 2 years instead of potentially 6 years from now. We have this team that could win right now and we need a point guard kind of thing. But
Fair point. Fair point.
I get
100%.
what you're saying absolutely. So I get it.
yeah. I think I can see both sides real quick before we transition here.
You're good.
We've been through this with 3 young stars and injuries, and we've seen the injuries that J-Dub Chet has had, and I can see the pause. Like we've lived through it already
Yeah.
once where we had a great roster. Russell Westbrook had a crazy injury. Serge Ibaka had a crazy injury, and it just didn't pan out after going to the finals. And I feel like we're definitely going to the finals this year, and so I can see why we need to make that deal happen. I just feel like Presti's going to be pretty hesitant on his midterm like these middle of the season deals, because that's something he mentioned in his presser early on in the season, that he's just not willing to make the same moves compared to a full offseason once he's evaluated all the players and talent. And he's taken some accountability on some previous recent trades. So yeah, we'll leave it there.
Gordon Hayward.
Yeah.
Cam Thomas isn't Gordon Hayward though.
No,
you
not
guys
at all.
keep moving on. I could speak about this all day.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Jack, there was one more, right?
Oh yeah, the last one was, well, this is probably more of a Nets fan made this, but Aaron Wiggins, Alex Caruso, Kenrich Williams, 5 first-round picks, 4 second-round picks. So that's just the gauge for the price, depending on who you ask. That is for Cam Thomas and Cameron Johnson.
Oh well, yeah, but that's not going to happen. Like, that is definitely a Nets.
Someone hopped on 2K and threw together a trade there. That's crazy. That's crazy. I did write down one player that I would like to see us go for, and that's Malik Beasley. I think Malik Beasley is sitting on the Pistons. He's a 41% three-point shooter, averaging 16.5 points. Not too hard to get a player like that. A player like that is on a team for one reason: shoot the ball.
I think that's actually a great poll, but I think that OKC needs a little bit more than just a three-point shooter. And I think Cam Thomas can create mid-range shots, three-point shots.
That's fair.
Off the dribble.
That's fair. That kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, where I think we're in a slump, and when we're not in a slump, we're just missing the three-point shooting. Yeah. So, like, for me, that's how I'm evaluating it.
Beasley would be great.
But I get it too. Thomas is there is no better word for him than scorer. I mean, that is what he is. He is a scorer. So absolutely makes sense for sure.
Well, I keep rambling. I'm sorry, but
no, you're good.
Go to championship teams. Like, I could date back to the Dallas Mavericks when they beat LeBron in Miami in the first year. They had Jason Terry come off the bench and scored 17 to 20 points a game. Yeah. X factor. Like, every team has a great or a guy who comes off the bench and could give you straight buckets. Like, you could just date back even further. Like, it's a consistent thing that championship teams have, and I don't think we have that right now. So,
no, yeah, I definitely agree.
One of the other notes that I made as this topic was brought up, that AJ Mitchell's return for that 10 to 12 week window is like pretty much around middle of April, so around start of playoff rounds. So I'm sure he can get up and ready, and we can get through that first round and have him ready by the second round. So I think that'd be a huge deal, him coming back, because he's that bucket getter. He's that guy that can play defense really effectively for a rookie. I mean, he's a ridiculous rookie that we have. So
yes, he is. Very underrated. Very underrated. Like, I don't think people realize how big of a hit that was when we lost him. I mean, Thunder fans did, but nobody else, like other fans, when they see him on the injury report, who's AJ Mitchell?
Really good point. Good point.
He can provide the scoring for sure. I would like to see him continue to just be more consistent and progress a little better, which he was being consistent for sure. But you can't expect too much out of a rookie at the end of the day. So
problem there is trade deadlines. Only in February, and we don't know if he'll have any setbacks. God willing, he doesn't. But so it's Presti is in a tough spot. I'm screaming at him to
always
make a trade here, but it's not as easy as it sounds, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of going back to the Warriors game here, one thing I also wanted to press on, and this is actually a bigger issue than just the Warriors game. I mean, this happens when we win by 20. J-Dub is a bad culprit of this, and I love the guy. I hate when we get a turnover or we get a quick rebound and we force a 1-on-3 fast break and put up a terrible shot. I despise that, because at this point, just slow it down. If you are forcing a 1-on-3, slow it down and just run the offense, because instead you're pushing a 1-on-3, which, okay, here's the cons of that. One, typically is very physical and can end with a player falling because these guys are trying to block him. He's in a he's pushing by himself. Two, you miss, you're not getting the rebound. No one is following you. You're by yourself. And three, it's 1-on-2, 1-on-3. It's contested. It's a bad shot. That happened so many times last night towards the end where, I mean, there was a few that J-Dub, did one of those crazy hang in the air and just throw it up and bank it in. And we're always hyped about that. But unless the pace has to be pushed because it's the end of the game and it's close, there should never be a time where you are forcing that fast break. all by yourself. It's just I despise that, and that's an issue I've noticed multiple times this year. That J-Dub specifically has done that a lot, and I think that's just the aggressive slashing nature. Unfortunately, I mean Russ used to do that too, but he was
We used to
kind
get
of
angry at
elite,
him too, though. Sometimes when he
kind
was
of elite. Yeah, exactly. So like
my
that's my point though is nobody's off the hook. So
right. My question there would be, don't get me wrong. I played high school basketball, right? So I'm not in the not even close. But when or if, let's say if I were to do something like that, isn't it such a simple fix to next time out, my coach get in my face and be like, "You're 1-on-3. What are you doing? Don't do it again." I'm like, "Oh yeah, you know what? I'm an idiot for that." Does that not happen in the NBA? Do they not sit down the player and be like, "What? Why 1-on-3?" And have the players be like, "Oh, you know what? You're right. Next time I'll slow it
yeah,
down."
yeah.
Does that not happen? Because
I mean, I don't know. That's the simplest answer. I don't know. I can't give you a full answer. My thought, I think it probably happens to an extent, but I think players just genuinely believe that in the moment of the game, they see it and they're gonna push. Like it's almost like this second nature where you see players. Here's the difference though. You see seasoned players like Shea not doing that because they understand. J-Dub's not. He's not. He's young. He's very young. I mean, I just think that's something you learn. But like I agree, Joe. Like I also played hardly any basketball. Like it's a pretty like straightforward concept. Like the
right,
first time it didn't work, let's not do it again. But like I just think in the heat of the moment, it's adrenaline. You get that steal, you're pushing. It's so easy to think I can push, I see the gap, I see where I can make it. But you're not factoring in the two people that are chasing you down from behind who are going to make this a heck of a lot harder on you.
yeah, right,
So
right when you miss that shot, it's numbers the other way.
yeah,
So
absolutely. That too. I mean, that happened one time last night where J-Dub forced it, missed, and fell. And I believe Hart was down there too and got down there and fell as well. And we ended up with a 5-on-3. Like
it's
what a
simple
waste.
basketball.
It is simple basketball. And that's why it's almost silly talking about it, but like it's a genuine problem. Like it needs to be fixed. That's such losing a game because you can't capitalize on the simple fundamentals of basketball is the worst way to lose a basketball game. There is nothing like I would rather get flat out beat by 20 points because the other team straight up outplayed me instead of messing up on fundamental, simple basketball things. That is so frustrating. And last night, that's what it came down to. I mean, we got outplayed in the last 5 minutes. Before that, we allowed them to stay. That third quarter was one of the worst quarters of basketball I've watched in a long time from the Thunder, other than Shea. Except even Shea started slow, but that second half of the third, he you know what he did? He slowed the pace and he got to the free throw line.
Yeah, he got to his
It's
spots. Yeah.
simple. He played to our rhythm, but no one else did. Everyone else was just chucking up threes. And one other thing I wrote down was were those like rigged State Fair carnival rims? I mean, those rims, I swear, every time they hit, it was the loudest ringer. I mean, obviously we were just missing. I'm not blaming the rims, but I just thought it was so funny how loud those rims were, dude. That was so
I'm kind
weird.
of glad you kind of brought that up because yes, I'm not going to blame anything
Oh no.
but ourselves.
Yeah.
But I find like I'm watching the game, and I'm not one to do this. I'm one to blame my team, the way we played, blame the coaching. I thought the officiating was absolutely horrendous, like disgusting. Like I watched multiple referees look at each other, be like, I don't know, and just point the other way. Also, Mark could have challenged, but he wasn't for some odd reason. And then there was one other thing with the ESPN broadcast had two guys from the Warriors front office broadcasting the game. I mean, if that's not
I
like
noticed that too.
no OKC fan wants to watch that.
Not even a little
That's
bit.
that it was miserable for me.
Yeah.
Miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's a great
I
point.
don't know. It was just an awful night for me anyway. Because like I have to watch on ESPN and I
yeah.
got to watch these refs look at each other with four heads. They're like, no, it was Warriors ball.
Yeah.
First
No,
of all,
that-
no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And damn, that yesterday sucked.
There was a really bad one where it was a pass out of bounds and they said that it was tipped by Shea. And the refs literally you could see the refs stop and they like look around like you said and just decide that well, the home crowd's really yelling loud, so we better give them the ball.
Oh yeah, Dennis Schroeder's getting in my face, so I got to calm down and make sure
Exactly.
he gets the ball there. Like,
Yes,
get the hell
yes.
out of here, man.
That was, and I agree. At the end of the day, it's all our fault. We lost that game. The officiating kept it keeps runs from happening. It keeps momentum from shifting. It just those little things that maybe we end up going on an 8-0 run. Maybe if that one call doesn't happen. But like I agree, Joe. I
Again, I'm not
hate
blaming,
blaming, but
it was
it was
very
noticeable.
questionable. Yeah, it was
When
very
it's
questionable.
noticeable, that's a problem.
To build off that, I got the final 2 minute report up here, and they say everything was good. Correct calls, correct no calls,
Of
no
course.
incorrect calls. So
I'd almost rather they
Just
say that
and
add
because
that.
Go back
I
and
don't.
watch the damn game because that's
Yeah.
such a lie. It's such
I'd
a
almost
lie.
rather they say that because I literally want to like break my desk in half whenever I see the next day they're like, there was actually 4 fouls. It's like, why are you even telling me this? Like, oh, thanks. I'm really glad you guys reported it now.
Maybe we could
Yeah.
flash to my coffee table what happened to that last night after the officiating. Oh man.
Yeah, no, that was crazy for sure. That it was noticeable, but the reffing was noticeable.
I think another thing, real quick here, I wanted to mention. I feel like outside of course, Joe, J Dub, and SGA, it just felt like even in the second half of that game, Shea had to play such a mistake-free game for
Yeah.
us to win. Like that's how it felt. Like if he
Mhm.
didn't make every single shot here, we knew no one else is creating a shot. Like it just came down to that. And once Steph got into the game and the crowd got into the game, the role players got into the game, it was essentially over for us. I mean,
Yeah.
we
Mhm.
had freaking slow-mo hitting a freaking turnaround
Oh
Oh,
my
shot.
don't get me. That
gosh.
was the one that put me over the top last night,
Dude.
man. Oh,
You're telling me, man, I'm over here like my neighbors are like knocking at my door pretty much. They're like, dude, you got to shut up.
yeah, yeah, no.
Yeah, no, for sure. I literally hit the Will Levis drop to my knees when Gary Payton dunked on Hart. I was like, it's
I have something
over.
to say about that play. Run that play back. Man, I think it was Looney. I mean, he fully shoves Hartenstein, and Hartenstein is way off balance. He's not jumping and contesting that at all. Like,
Yeah, no,
go
but
run that play
it's
back.
still
No shot. Like, but yeah, he got
no,
yanked
yeah.
out. He got
Yeah,
yanked
well,
out.
that's the kind of play where if I was a Warriors fan, I would have been ecstatic. Like
Oh yeah.
that's the kind of play that like at that very moment, that could have happened with like 3 minutes left, and I would have been like, it's over. Like the amount of momentum that came from that, I was just like, I'm done. I can't watch this anymore. Like it was just over at that moment. That was, but yeah, when when slow-mo hit that shot, it was like the most emotionless reaction. Like I was just like, what am I supposed to do with this information?
That one killed
Yeah.
me.
Here's another moment that made me absolutely flip out, and I know all the Thunder fans are probably watching this too, where Lou Dort was called a foul on Kevon Looney, if you guys recall. Man,
Yes, when he
the
got
one
shoved
where
out of bounds.
yeah, that one was crazy. That one was the one.
Yes,
That is
even
what started me hyper focusing on the officiating.
yes,
That's when I was like, all right, this is getting a little out of hand
Yes.
here. And then there was one, man, I forgot who. Somebody ran into Kyle Anderson.
yes,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
it was
Called it on
Joe.
us.
It was Joe,
It was Joe, and they
and
called
they
it
called
on
on
us.
him.
But yeah, sure, Joe like ran into him. Anderson's completely moving on that screen.
Yes,
Like he's
yes.
taken 4 steps by now on the moving screen.
Yeah,
What the hell are we doing, man?
yes.
What are we doing?
And it's also bad when you talked about earlier how both of the announcers were ex-Warriors. They made a comment on both of those plays. The one where
Oh,
they
yeah.
called on Dort when he got knocked over, they were like, Dort got the bad end of that because they literally said, "How is that a foul on Lou
Yeah.
Dort?" And then the Joe one, they were like, "I'm not seeing anything there." That's bad when the ex-Warriors are making comments about the reffing for the Warriors. Like,
I switched over. To the other stream where they had the Warriors announcers for the Lou Dort foul, and they were literally for like 2 minutes as the review was happening for that. They said it was all against Looney, and then when it came up because they were both number 5, the refs must have confused them, and they're like, "Oh shoot, actually we got the ball. Oh great, fantastic!" Like
dude,
they
that's
were.
so bad.
How does that
That's so
happen
bad.
in the NBA? How does that happen?
Yeah, these are supposed to
I watch it
be.
every year. I watch it
Yes.
every year, and I just for some reason keep watching and drive myself nuts. But damn,
Yeah.
like how do you let that happen?
Yeah, these are supposed to be the best NBA referees in the world. and we have these just blatant bad calls that the other team's announcers are surprised that they got the call. That's bad. And it's not just once. That's the other thing, it's not just once. So yeah,
I
that's
do want
just
to reiterate for the other fans of other teams watching, even Warriors fans, even if we're rambling for the past like 5 minutes about the officiating, we legitimately lost this game due to the Warriors' shot making ability
Yeah,
at the end.
yeah,
Like we
100%.
can complain about the refs all we want. We had this game in the bag. We rested Shea a little bit too much. I felt like from Mark's perspective, where in the third he came out a little bit more rusty than normal, and we relied a little bit too much on the bench there. And
mhm.
even when the Shea off minutes are happening, we should have Hartenstein, Joe, and J Dub in the game at all times if Shea is resting. And
Yeah.
I felt like Joe was not getting the minutes alongside Hartenstein and J Dub to alleviate some of that, kickouts with either of them driving in that pick and roll action. Joe has to be on the floor there.
You know who would
So
be
Yes.
sick to have in that
Yes.
second unit? Cam Thomas.
yeah,
That's all. We're gonna have to do a whole episode about Joe and Cam Thomas. Yeah, for sure. Just to kind of like wrap up this little segment here, we actually got a question on one of our YouTube videos that we figured we'd address. Somebody asked, "What team is the toughest matchup for the Thunder, and individual player or as a team?" So we can all just kind of like address that. I think as for team, we can all pretty fairly, I would think we can say the Mavericks. Just
Yeah,
repetitively
Dallas
losing
Mavericks.
the Mavericks when we shouldn't is just it's a mind game. It really is. I
Yeah,
mean,
mental, 100% mental.
we're a better team by far, but
I think it's also mental, but it's a little bit coaching as well. Their game planning
yeah,
for hitting corner shots, hitting open threes, the way they're game planning against us with having double bigs, things
yeah.
like that are kind of negating some of our strengths from
Hmm.
a rebounding perspective, from
Hmm.
also we leave the corners open. That's part of the game plan. And each time they want to expose that, we just allow it to happen.
And they
And there's
execute
no
well.
adjustment. Yeah, they
Yeah,
execute well on it.
yeah.
And they know that our game plan is to be aggressive on pick and roll actions, leaving a lot of corner shooters, and
Yep.
they beat
Um,
us every time.
the
Yeah.
the guy who asked the question, did he have a username? Because I want to add him real quick.
Yes, he did. His username was TJMH19.
Okay, so for
So just call him TJ.
TJMH19, first of all, thanks for the comment. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna give you a different team because we're all gonna agree Dallas. I mean, it's been
Yeah.
proven, but there has been one team that we haven't actually faced yet because they haven't been healthy, and I don't necessarily like the idea of us going up in a playoff series up against James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. I think that's a sneaky good team this year. Norman Powell's been playing awesome. He just missed All Star reserve. There wasn't enough room for him, but he could have very easily been one. But the team I saw last night, if I'm looking forward to a 7-game series against Kawhi, a healthy Kawhi, the way James Harden's been playing, I mean, out of his mind, the way Norman Powell has been playing, I think that's a team that could give us some fits. They got Zubac, who we struggle against, bigs, but we're gonna have Hartenstein and Chet back, so hopefully that'll be fixed. But I'd like to see how we do against that type of team because that's a team that we haven't seen them play yet.
I think that's a very good point. I mean, regardless of the availability and questions of Kawhi Leonard, we can't deny that the guy shows up. I mean, the guy when he plays, you don't want to be against him. So I absolutely agree. I
So
mean,
like what I thought when I was putting that together, they have a team where they could put Kawhi on Shea, and we haven't seen Shea go against Kawhi Leonard much. Like
that's
Kawhi
true.
Leonard's top tier defensive player when he's healthy. So
Hmm.
I mean, that's a very interesting matchup
Yeah,
to me.
for sure. I
Definitely.
mean, I mean, I know the Spurs aren't great, but last night, Norman Powell 27, Harden 21 and 11 assists, Zubac 21 and 22, and
And Ka-
Kawhi 27.
yeah,
I mean,
that's a good
that's
team.
crazy.
That's a
That's a
good team,
crazy stat line.
and a team that a lot of people have to be looking out for
Yeah, no,
because
absolutely.
they're
I
just getting
I
it
agree.
going over there.
I
Yeah,
agree. That's a sneaky.
Zubac is having a career year, and he's like top 10 defensive center right now, maybe even top 5 defensive center according to
Yeah.
some advanced stats that I was looking up recently from that game. So yeah, they got a really fantastic roster. I guess other teams to mention maybe in the mix. What do you guys think about the Grizzlies against a potential Thunder matchup. I feel like they have a very similar type of, I guess, they have a, big star. They have JJJ over there, defensive beast similar to Chet. Like, I feel like that'd be a really fun matchup, throwing it back to the old Thunder Grizzly days.
I just want to
Yeah.
answer it real quick, and then I'll get out of the way.
You're good.
I don't think that's a problem for us at all because I don't think their defense could guard any of our top players. I don't think Ja wants any part of Shea. I don't think Desmond Bane wants any part of Shea, and then vice versa. One of them has to guard Dub. I'm not worried about them at all.
Yeah, I agree with your wording. Very fun, and I think it would be very fun for OKC fans. I'm not thinking that series goes too good for Memphis. I just don't think. I think our players are just simply better. I really do. I think we just show up when we need to compared to them more consistency. I'm just not worried, but I like the mention because they're another team that's a lot better than people give them credit for. They've been surviving without Ja. I mean, that's impressive. Jaren Jackson is having an incredibly underrated year. I mean, he is scoring so efficiently. So
Yeah, he's an all-star for a reason too.
yeah,
They're doing their third out right now, and Ja's been iffy on availability. I mean, that's ridiculous to me. I mean, right up there with the Clippers, like a team that's getting a little bit more healthy come playoff time. Like they're kind of on that resurgence of post All-Star break. We could see them climb the rankings as well.
Yep.
Jack, what do you think, man?
Well, we're favorites in every game and any playoff series. So I think you can look at any team and say, oh, we could beat them. But I think the only Celtics, Cavs, and Mavs are the only trouble we will face, in my opinion.
I also think I don't think Houston's a pushover at all either. I think if I'm looking at Western Conference teams, for me it's obviously Dallas because it's been proven. Clippers and Houston. Houston's young, but they got some guys who just play ball, hard defense. They got some scoring. They're going to play hard every night because they don't know any better like we did a few years ago. Yeah. So that's a team I don't necessarily want to run into either. It'd be a hard series.
Yeah. Just to kind of wrap up this little segment here, I got one more team I wanted to mention. I don't know if this is just me, and I don't think that they're really that good, but I do not like playing the Lakers, dude. I hate when we play the Lakers. I feel like Davis always gives us so much trouble. And I know the dude's elite. He gives everybody trouble. A healthy Lakers team has they in the regular season last year, I was literally praying we didn't end with them in the playoffs because they owned us in the regular season last year. I do not this year they're really inconsistent. I'm not super worried about them by any means. I mean, they're up to the 5th seed in the West. They're having a decent season, but I do not like playing the Lakers. I just never like it.
That's a great mention because that's another team who is struggling. They haven't been fully healthy. 80's out now, but I'm not even going to mention that. Jared Vanderbilt's back for them.
Yes,
that's a guy
underrated.
who locks up on defense. And that's another series that you're going to be in these ESPN games, and you're going to see some questionable officiating because of LeBron. I can tell you that much.
Yes.
Don't want to watch that.
I think the moral of the story here is the West is very good. The East is top heavy, but the West, there's 10 different teams that all can make a run.
Is not going to be easy whatsoever. Every series we're going to be pulling our hair out. Every game we're going to be. It's going to be tough.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, just to kind of end off here, let's go ahead and let's end on a high note here. Our boy J-Dub, first All-Star appearance.
Yes.
I was getting anxious, I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking he was gonna get snubbed. I could just see the Bleacher Report graphic of which of these players got snubbed the worst, and I could just see J-Dub right in the middle.
Dub very deserving.
Yes.
Awesome player, electrifying dude. Really happy for him. I think this is one of many, and I'm just super excited. I am really angry that they changed it to, 4 teams of 8, and they're going to play to 40.
That's weird.
But I'm just super happy for the guy.
Yeah, me too. Third season, only his 3rd season, and he's already an All-Star. I mean, what a tip of the hat to a guy like him, averaging 23 this season. Just a beast. We all know he deserved it. It was just did the NBA know he deserved it. So
Yep.
I'm really glad to see he
Yeah.
got it.
I wanted to mention a couple things about his All-Star appearance.
Mhm.
So this marks the first time, or here actually, yeah, Oklahoma City is one of two Western Conference teams that have multiple All-Stars. I believe the Lakers are the other one. And then also, he's one of six players averaging 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1.5 steals per game this season. Other things to mention would be like Thunder are one of only 5 teams to have 20 or more All-Star appearances since 09, 2010. Yeah,
That's
ridiculous.
Cool.
yeah.
I mentioned it on
Awesome
Twitter.
stuff.
Sam Presti deserves a literal statue built tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah. No,
When he
absolutely.
gets that championship.
Oh yeah, no, I think he deserves one.
No, of
regardless.
course, of
This
course.
man's
Yeah, yeah,
Of
yeah.
course.
ridiculous.
For sure. Jack, you got anything you want to add in at the end here?
Yeah, I saw a tweet saying we could see a All-Star finals that include Casey Wallace, Jalen Williams, Shea, Katie, Harden, Mark, and the Thunder assistant coach. There's a slim
Pretty awesome.
chance that that could all happen, which I thought was a pretty cool.
That is
Yeah.
pretty cool.
And before
That's a great
we
mention.
wrap up, I just want to say one thing. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tough game last night. Sucked. Got really angry. Slept on it. Woke up. This is what I have to say. Okay.
Let's hear
At
it.
the end of the day, how great is it to lose a game, get really mad, but then be like, "Huh, we're still way better than everybody else."
Yeah.
Right? How great is it to be generally like surprised when we lose?
Yeah.
Like, you got to take a step back and be like, okay, I could deal with one right now. We're slumping, but we'll get through this.
Yeah. No,
We
definitely.
haven't even hit double-digit losses yet. That's what made me wake up in a better mood.
Yep.
Yeah. That's something I've been paying attention to for a while, is waiting for that loss column to hit that double digit. And we're not, I mean, one of two teams not there yet, and we beat the hell out of them last time we played them. I mean, it, definitely, like you said, Joe, what a privilege. I mean, I agree. Like you said, I'm angry, but we're living good.
Yeah.
We're living
100%.
good. All right. Well, we really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We're glad we got to get Satvir on here for the first time.
Yes.
Definitely enjoyable for sure. Let us know what you guys thought of the game. If you disagree or if you agree with what we were saying, maybe some of your thoughts on the trade concepts. Let us know if you pull those. If you're as high on Cam Thomas as Joe is, definitely glad to see what you guys think. But yeah, check out our other socials to see clips, any other episodes, anything like that, as we get ready for the game on Saturday against the Kings. But thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.
And Thunder up, baby. Let's go.
Let's go, Thunder up.